When did you realize alcohol was an issue?
But the thing is, like that was all part of my journey. I loved it. All the ideas and the free flowing of alcohol that I use is great. But after a certain amount of time, as most people know, it's like you can't really do all these things forever. You can't eat burgers. You can't drink alcohol. You can't do whatever you want all the time forever. Part of the reason that I drink is my anxiety. It's an abusive substance for most people, but alcohol is alcohol. It was created by the world or God or whatever it may be. These things are used as medicine for certain people, and it's like we had this habit of abusing these things. I was sober for 6 months. I just knew like I would go to a wedding or I'd go to here, I'd go to there. I'd be like, man, it would just be nice to have a drink with my friends. It's my fault that I abused it. This is a independent variable. We are the problem.
Welcome to Everyday Esoteric on Esoteric Eddie TV.
What up, everybody? Esoteric Eddie here. Namaste. Today's guest is a very hardworking, interesting artist, entrepreneur, and just a really cool dude. I've known him for many years. He's got an interesting story to tell. We're going to talk about his journey as an artist, an entrepreneur who's putting on one of the biggest shows for San Diego hip hop right now, bringing in all kinds of artists around the country. And also we're going to talk about his journey with alcoholism, how he overcame that, why he decided to come back, and how he's figuring that whole thing out, plus so much more. And per usual, I'll have him tell you all about that. So without further hesitation, everybody please welcome the homie Adam Flowers.
How we doing? Thanks for having me. Nice to see y'all.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
It's good to see you.
Absolutely. Likewise, bro.
So, man, before we get deep into your story, just go ahead and tell the people, who it is that you are and what it is that you do.
My name is Adam Flowers, as previously stated. I guess I am a hip-hop, I would say mostly under the umbrella of hip-hop, but hip-hop, R&B, just artist from Escondido, California. Just came up over there, lived in Escondido until I was about 27, moved to Vista, as I know you have your own, territory over there. And just a North County kid, man, just, grew up in the midst of the passion that is San Diego hip hop and artistry, and just being a suburban / city kid and just kind of bouncing around and learning things from different people. And, I honestly just learned how to be a human, in the best places I possibly can. So, I've been blessed, Can't really say too much besides that. It's an honor to be here and just be able to do what I do and say things and have a perspective that people listen to, So,
yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, you do a lot, man. You do a lot. And everything you do is with so much passion.
Appreciate that. Likewise.
Thanks, man.
That's why we're here, huh?
Absolutely. Doing shit. But per usual, I think it'd be interesting to tell people how we met,
Yeah, absolutely.
And the funny thing is, I was trying to think about this today. I actually don't remember when I met you. Like,
I do love that.
Yeah, right. It was just like we were just existed. Like we're always in each other's universe. But I do remember the time period where I started to see you a lot, like where you actually entered my life.
Sure.
And where I entered yours probably. Mm-hmm. And it was around the summer of like 2018, 2019. Yep. One of those 2 years. That whole time period was a blur. As many of you know at this point, 2018 to 2020 was like the fucking craziest years for me. All just a huge blur. But yeah, around that time, and I first started seeing you a lot during that time when Goomson and Antic One were putting on the open mic.
Crate Culture.
Crate Culture. Is that what it was? Yeah, Crate Culture at the Inland Tavern. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I remember seeing you there a bunch, and that was a dope event. It was at the Inland Tavern, which used to be the Penny Lane. Mm-hmm. And I worked there with the homie Jimmy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
At Penny Lane?
At Penny Lane, years ago. Way back.
Yeah, you're an OG then.
Yeah. That was like way back in the day when it was like all fucked up and shit.
Yeah,
that place was ghetto. It's nice now. It's gone through like 4 different fucking...
It's something else now. So it's not Inland Tavern either, but it's something...
It was Inland Tavern, and then it was something else, and then it's something else now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, we were both going to that event, and it was a cool event. I feel like North County hip-hop needed that in that moment.
Oh, 100%.
There was like a vacancy, a void in the community at that time. And so for them to do that, it was like dope. It was like another like surgency of like the community, the culture, and everything.
Well, to kind of like put it all together, I feel like I met you at some point way before that. But at the time, I don't think there was much of a platform for everybody. And I think for me, coming from Escondido, there was a big scene in Escondido. I don't even know, like 2013, 2014. I forget the era, but I just remember like trying to get shows and trying to be artists, like, you know, back before the Instagram, modern social media. Let's not act like social media didn't exist, because there was still Facebook and MySpace, and back to even when I was first in MC, like, always had that option, but the platforms were not as accessible. And I just feel like being able to have a place just to come, whether you want to play your beats or rap or just talk to people, it was just so necessary, being that so long ago it was kind of like there was Boris Crossing and Jumping Turtle and all these places that people would do shows at, like back in that circuit. Metaphor, which was one of the first hip hop shows locally I went to. Which was one of the only venues in Escondido. And I think to this day, there's really not many venues in Escondido, which sucks. You know, we've always had that issue in Escondido. Like, we just got a skate park, a public one at least. But yeah, great culture. And it's just dope that that's, you know, the homie Ansik put it on, and being able to see people like you and Connor and Dane and Ralph Quasar and Spliff, if you will.
They're proper names.
Yeah, you know. It's like the opposite of real life. Like, the government, you're like, oh, my bad, Ralph Quasar.
Yeah,
and,
like, Dane.
But seeing all those people, seeing Rick Scales pull up and you, and it's funny, I didn't know Found at the time, but I remember recently someone played the Apes of Graph videos, and I was like, oh, I do remember this guy. Like, it was almost like the face is a little different, the energy, and like he was like such a rapper back then. You know? Not that he's not, but I feel like I ran into everyone at some point, but there was a little lack of community. It was more like I don't want to say segregated, it's probably the wrong word, but it's a little more just, you know, it's like a little cliquey, kind of more like high school. And like, you know what, people stick together. I do feel like Vista and Oside had their own scene. It kind of is like a Tri-City effect. But I heard you talking about you're more from San Marcos. And like, I'm from Escondido, and there's a little more of like a bleed through over there between Esco and San Marcos. And then over that hill from like Rancho Santa Fe to Smilax, it kind of like turns into Vista. And I think I definitely knew more San Marcos kids growing up. But in terms of hip hop, I actually, when I would venture out into like, you know, the more underground styles that we kind of ventured in the beginning, Vista and Oside is where that was prevalent. And there was a lot of people in Esco where there was definitely a scene for a couple of years, but it kind of fizzled, I think, just because there was so much pushback and there was just not enough of an established scene there. And then people kind of just fizzling out, maybe going into different careers or maybe getting in trouble.
There was a lot of history there.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like the Esco Zoo.
Esco Zoo.
Sean Doe, he's like an OG from there, right? And then I had a couple homies back in high school that they were repping Raw Liver. Did you ever know those guys?
Absolutely.
I
know who they are. Absolutely.
I met them through my homie in high school in San Marcos High, who was like really close friends. He was in the crew originally, but then he like stopped rapping and shit. But But no, it's funny you say that because it's a little embarrassing to admit, but like, when I first met you, I didn't know if I liked you. To be honest, like,
no worries.
I just remember that, like, but that's because that was during my like hater phase, you know.
Everyone had, you know, it was a little more like loyalist era where like certain styles, and I heard you talking to Blame about it, about, you know, we came up in like, oh no, it's like underground, it's this, and there's types of underground. There's like, you know, the Rhyme Sayers umbrella. There's like the more like hardcore, like necro nonfiction. There's like the AOTP Jedi Mind Tricks. There's the East Coast, like New York Loyals. There's like the Northwest hip hop, like the Sand People, the Common Markets, and then you got like the Blake. There's so many types of hip hop that I came up listening to, and it's like I kind of took from all of those. Being from Escondido, I also wasn't really into the scene at the time. I kind of grew up in North Escondido, a little more like, I wouldn't say rural, but just on the outskirts, and I had my own friends that rapped. And I would say that I think the internet is a big reason as to why I developed a style. Like, you know, as much as I am like, I kind of align more with the old world, you know, we got to see both sides at our age. And I was just able to learn so many things and hear so many different styles, as well as my sister. Shouts out to Courtney Flowers. 41 years old, so 10 years older than I am. And always growing up, she was like my second mom. And she's the one that kind of put me on. 10 years.
Oh, okay,
so
wow.
she would listen to Erykah Badu and Mos Def and The Roots, Common, and all that shit growing up. And I would hear it in the background when I was younger. And then when I was 13 years old, she burnt me a whole binder of
Was she
CDs.
from Esco too? Were you always in Esco?
She grew up in Escondido. She ended up leaving and coming back, but we're both... Well, she grew up in Rancho Penasquitos. Okay. And then they moved to Escondido right before I was born.
Interesting. And, I wonder if, because I got a lot of like older homies and some family members from out here too, so I'm just wondering if
she graduated 01 at Esco High, and then I'm 2010.
Interesting,
but yeah, so she burned me a whole binder of CDs, and like I'd already had a couple things, like borrowed her CDs. I actually got in trouble by taking her Cypress Hill CD to elementary school. Oh shit! Trying to show the homies, you know.
How I could just kill a man. Dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude,
it was more like hits from the ball, all the weed stuff.
Oh, okay.
You're so drugs.
I'm just over here like,
you know,
I fucking love that. That beat, dude, is fucking crazy.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it's a Hendrix sample, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah, that little like high pitched shit. Yeah.
DJ Muggs, man.
Yeah,
one of the goats.
But yeah, man, as you were saying, your older sister, she really put you on the game. And
yeah, she burned me a bunch of CDs, like from like Chico to Barge to Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King to like all that Electric Lady stuff at Common, Mos Def, The Roots, Erykah Badu. I had like The Grouch. I had Living Legends and all types of different things that I would listen to. And I just remember throwing them in and being like, huh. And there were certain things that I'd liked at the time, maybe didn't.
So how old were you when you like really started listening to this stuff?
13. Oh, really started when I was like 11. It's weird because I'd already had an intro to hip hop from her, but the thing that really won me over was Reanimation by Linkin Park.
What?
Which sounds crazy, but I was already, most kids our age were Linkin Park fans. You know, when you're like 9, 10 years old, the Hybrid Theory was a banger, you know?
Yeah.
And then they did the Reanimation CD, which they did a bunch of remixes of their old stuff. And on that album was Charlie Tuna, Planet Asia, Alchemist, Black Thought. And they would do a bunch of remixes of their old stuff. And it was like very, like Pharoah Monch was on there.
Wow, I never heard that.
That's what I mean. I was 11 years old and I was like, there's this new Linkin Park CD, you know? This is before the Jay-Z collab one. This is like their... But it had like the Gundam style thing on it, which is where that kind of stemmed from. I just remember being like, whoa, these are like, it's like some real hip hop. I just like, all I knew was that I liked it. Yeah. And then I remember having the Men in Black soundtrack randomly. My parents would just buy me shit that like they weren't aware because they actually would have rather sheltered me, I think.
If they knew what the fuck it was.
No, 100%. I remember I had a Dragon Ball comic and like Bulma was naked in it and I was like, let's go. Like, it was like my personal
I was never a Dragon Ball Z kid.
I feel it.
I did. What did I grow up on? I grew up on Pokemon, of course, but then I was like really into like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, dude, me too. I actually went to like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament.
No way. Like 9, we used to fucking be out there in the hood, dude, like throwing down the cards and shit. Sure.
Nah, yeah.
Fucking taking kids'
there's
cards.
No shame in liking Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, bro. If you are a millennial like us, bro, you were a child once. It's okay. It is hip hop, by the way. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that shit was dope. It was very occultic.
No, I did all that. I mean, dude, when I was in elementary school, I was in the chess club. Like, I was kind of half. Like I definitely grew up in the burbs and shit, so I'm not like trying to be all like, you know, like I definitely more aligned with just certain things when I got older. And you gotta know your roots, man. And it's just funny, like as time goes on, like it's cool to see like the nerd shit be cool again. And people are like, oh yeah, actually I did like Dragon. Or like, like I played golf growing up, and like now golf is super cool.
Oh yeah, seriously.
And it's like, bro, like when I was in high school, people would make fun of me like for playing golf.
I had a friend in elementary who loved golf, and his mom used to take us, and I just thought it was fun because we got to fucking hit the balls, you know? Like fuck.
Oh, dude, it's great. You know?
He was super into it. But damn, dude. Yeah, we'll definitely break that down some more. Mm-hmm. So you got into it like super early, and but I just want to go quickly, just go back to what I was saying because it's a very important point, I think. So like originally, when I met you, like I didn't know if I liked you, but it's because I was in my hater phase, you know. And hip hop like brought that out of me, you know. So competitive, egotistic and competitive. Mm-hmm. It's a blood sport. Right? Mm-hmm. Like hip hop is a blood sport, it's an ego sport, which is funny because hip hop is supposed to be founded on community. That's the whole thing, right? It was literally founded on community parties and shit. But as I got to know you, I realized I actually really do like you. And you're actually a really fucking cool dude.
Appreciate that.
And and that's why I wanted to have you on because you are inspirational. Watching what you do is inspirational.
Thank you, man.
Honestly. And all the hard work you put in. I appreciate anybody that like puts in hard work and passion into what they do because I know what it takes. to basically make something out of fucking nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I get it, man. Back then, a lot of people didn't like me. I think it's because I was different. And then when I first came into the scene, I was a little more shy. And then when I realized that people didn't respect me, I think I might have had like the adverse reaction where I was like, all right. And then I started, battling, like BattleBot was one of the first ways I got to get on stage because people wouldn't book me. I'd be like, yo,
let's reel that back. So you should get into hip hop as a kid. Your sister helps you out. She puts you on game.
Yep.
And then when do you really start actually like making it? Like when do you start writing lyrics and actually start transitioning into being an artist?
When I was like 15 or 16. I don't remember. It was all around the time I started smoking weed and drinking. It all happened at the same time, to be honest. But I remember the first time, maybe I'm the only one that has a story, which I love. I was on YouTube and I found an instrumental, which even at the time, I didn't know the
YouTube type
the
beat,
term. I didn't even know what it was. I was like, oh, the instrumental. I was like, oh, this is the beat of the song. Like, I didn't know the term of instrumental. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was #1 spot by Ludacris. I don't know how I got there down the rabbit hole. But I remember I really liked that song because Luda, when I was like 10, was like my favorite rapper. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah.
For me, it was Eazy-E.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the more the pop influence a little bit. I had I had the underground from my sister, but like the pops, I really liked Eminem, Ludacris. Like people were just very like characters almost. Yeah, I like that about them. But I remember just going on, I was like, oh, the instrumental. I was like, and I was just listening to the beat. I'm like, this is sick, no lyrics. And then I scrolled down. And in the comments, remember when fools used to fucking write their verse?
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I was like, oh, fools is spitting. And I was like, all right. And
like, so you're supposed to read it and shit? Like,
yes.
That's wild.
And I remember being like, I think I could spit. So I tried to rap. And it was very much like, yo, 760 with the flow, West Coast. And it was just like, whatever. And like, I knew how to rhyme already because I was always a writer. I was really into like literature and just like, that was my strong point, was like language arts and stuff like that in school.
Yeah, same here, dude.
Like essays, I would wait till the last night and like write the rough draft and the final and just get it done.
Bro, that was like my strong suit. I used to have homies and like my ex would always ask me to write her essays and shit. Like that was my only strong suit in school. The only thing I fucking liked because you got to really use your imagination and shit.
Here you are, following your dreams, bro.
For real.
But yeah, saw that, tried that, and then I started just writing in YouTube comments because I was like, all right, I was like, I could, because I saw people, because remember there'd be the top comment and there'd be like 45 likes, and I'd be like, and I would go through like instrumentals and see, and I would just kind of, and it was cool because it's just funny. That's my journey. Like it's so random, like because I've been through all the MC journey shit, but that was the first time that I got into it.
Wow.
And because I was able to just kind of like put it together, and then I would like I would love to read some of that. I'm sure it's terrible, but
dude, imagine finding that digital footprint somewhere.
Yeah, and my name at the time was New Aura, like instead of New Era.
New Aura.
Yeah, I was just like, let me think of a name.
Really hard,
it's not bad,
Yeah, New Aura.
And then I posted a comment or something, or someone did. I think maybe he like replied to me. It was like, yeah, it was whack. I'm like, I was like, what's up, man? Like, what you got then? And then he wanted to battle me like via video, where you make a video.
What?
I didn't have anything. It was the funniest thing. Damn. He goes, oh, like I got you. And then he like talks to me and emails me like, here's the program. You can use this. And I go get yourself a mic. He kind of helped me battle, but he helped me out. Yeah. He definitely like watched me just because he had a cadence. And I was like, I think I had like braces at the time. And I was like,
like 50 Cent.
I wasn't bad. It was all lyrics though. I had no delivery. I don't think I even tried to really rap out loud.
Like no punctuation and shit.
Yeah, the
writing
cadence,
like 62 bars or something.
Yeah,
random.
It was all imagination proclamation. You know what I mean? So, like, and it came later in that sense. But he's the one that gave me a program, and then I started rapping with some homies that I met.
Wait, so did you ever actually make the video?
Yeah, but I don't know where it's at. I think I deleted it eventually because I
wonder where that dude's at, bro.
He probably has a career.
Imagine.
He seemed much older than me.
He's fucking like some huge dude now. Like,
he has 3, or he just has 3 kids.
It was Logic.
He's a painter. Or he's actually Logic. It was actually him the whole time. Because I don't remember even what he sounded like. But I was very much limited to like the underground I got from like my sister. I used to use LimeWire a lot too though. And like my homie was up on game. And it's funny, me and Vex were talking recently about like these dudes like Genelic and Memphis Reigns.
Oh fuck yeah!
So like I was up on that when I was like 13. Yeah. And I knew a lot of underground shit. And so even from like Cunning Linguists, like the the Beautiful Strange album was one of the first things that really made me like fall in love with like just like emotional hip hop, and it was very much a journey. But by the time I started writing, I was like, it was like what my taste was and what I listened to were very much different. I think that's what the MCs have a hard time realizing. Like they think a lot of people think it's easy, but they don't really like put themselves in the shoes of like, would you like your own shit? Because it's almost like the rapper complex at first. Like you think you're dope out the gate, and then you get all, you're like, oh wait, no, I wasn't. I think that's for a lot of things, for artists and just certain things. There's like this like almost blindness. And almost maybe that's like a survival tactic of like being able to learn. You know what I mean?
Never thought of it that way,
but yeah, I started doing that, met some homies. We were really into like hardcore shit, like I'm not gonna say hard to your average
ICP
consumer. No, like Jedi Mind, Army of the Pharaohs. I was big on just like obviously necro, nonfiction, Ill Bill, like all that.
Classics.
We were really into like Vinny Paz, and then everything that his Umbrella shit was like our favorite stuff. So like I was very into that early on, but. Yeah, like I feel like it's been a weird journey for me for sure, but I would say it started with YouTube for me, which is why like when you started doing what you were doing, I was like very surprised to see that you like identify with the same type of like ideals and things that I came from, because for a long time I was very much like, as an MC, like I'm gonna be more on some martyr shit. I'm gonna be more like I'm gonna say something every verse. Like I want to say the hardest shit I possibly can. And that was the part of hip hop that goes full circle to where like when you see other people, you're like, man, like these fools ain't saying nothing, or you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like it's not even just the cadence and like being a nice MC is more like what do these fools have to say, or what do you have to offer? And like I used to really come from like everything that I spit was like very like introspective and like emotional, and like the world's finna like, you know, blow up and shit, and like it's not wrong, but like that was the
world's gonna blow up,
and every verse was like that. And it's like it's funny to see, like I'll still listen to it for nostalgia purposes, but as I got older, it's like I kind of identify with more things that like I level with emotionally day to day. But I used to be more about like the like every day, like the ideals. And I heard you talking about with the blame about like, yo, like this is more like my job, like it is, and like sometimes you have to just find the times to do these things, or else it'll consume you completely. And it's like, you know, sometimes I just want to go to the beach and eat some In-N-Out. You know what I mean? It's like you got to know it's time to turn it off. And sometimes for me, I'll go to a party or I'll go somewhere and someone's like, yo, so like yesterday, like, I'm like, I'm not trying to have this conversation right now, bro. Like I need a break, you know. And it's like, but yeah, it all started with that for me, and it took me a long time to like. I actually almost had to like develop a new style later on that wasn't so like
just so rigid and like fucking. It's really limiting, honestly.
It is, because it's not just like for certain people. It's not even like demographic wise. It's just the fact that like it's not balanced, and it's like I think it should be there for every once in a while. Like it's like it's just like a book, you know. You have your conflict, your resolution, and all that, and like things like your quiet moments in movies. It's not just like action the whole time.
Every song just about how the world's gonna end, how the government's like
there's
sucks,
more to life,
you know?
and I think that's also, you know, it doesn't mean that it's not a problem that we need to address.
I used to think when I was like in high school and early 20s, I used to think that like real hip hop was only hip hop that like had a message,
was real. That's what it was like. Yo, these fools ain't real. Like they didn't talk about shit. Like talking about your weed, and you're like, yeah, we all smoke weed, bro. You're fake. Like you don't talk about something. And it's like, nah,
it gets old
like,
though. And 100%. It's stupid too, because I grew up on like party music,
all of that. That's what I mean. So it's very,
Dr. Dre.
But we got to go through that. I think when people grow up, they feel like this experience is new to the world, because it's the first time happening to you. So you're like, yo, why isn't everybody like...
It was literally an outward expression of what I was going through internally, because at 100%. That same time I was 100%. Literally learning about all this shit that I read in these books and watching these documentaries and all the psychedelics I was taking. So
100%.
It was a literal outward expression of the aggression that I was feeling, like, fuck, dude, like the world is crazy. There's reptilians out here, like.
And then you see people at the gas stations like, why aren't y'all like, you guys okay with this? Like,
you guys are cool with this?
Exactly.
Like, nah, dude, 100%. For real. And so as I aged and matured and calmed down, naturally everything else did, and my music did, and I didn't feel the need to like have to be so angsty and shit. Like I started a clothing brand in high school called Kill Gov, which I have tattooed on my...
That's tight.
I have it tattooed on my middle finger here and on my knee.
I love that.
And it was cool. It was successful. I had a lot of homies repping it to this day. People still hit me up like, "Yo, let me get a beanie."
You got any old pieces?
Yeah,
Kill
Gov shit. I don't have. I don't have. Any, I don't even have any shirts or beanies anymore.
Damn.
You know, but yeah, it was because I was like that like anti-political angsty motherfucker. You know, like want to be like Immortal Technique, want to be Vinny Paz and shit. You know, and but as I matured and chilled out, I started to realize like I was putting that I wasn't resonating with that message anymore. And I realized because a lot of my younger homies were like coming up to me and saying like, yeah, we got to kill the government. Like really like serious about it. Like, yo, yeah, we got to go like blow up the White House.
But like not focused.
Shit. Yeah, not focused. Like it was just
not with the same intent or the same intensity. It varied for certain people where it's like, yeah, that's the right idea, but that's not what I was going for.
Basically, what I realized on an energetic level is that I was instilling anger in people. Like literally the clothing brand was Kill Gov. Yeah, and I tried to switch it a little bit with like, all right, Kill Gov with music, Kill Gov with, with this.
Sure.
Know, to try to like, but in the end, I was just pushing anger because I was an angry motherfucker.
Sure.
And so like I kind of slowly phased out of all of that and was like, I don't want to instill anger in my youngins. Like I want to teach them how to actually take their anger and do positive things. Mm-hmm. Actually become successful and profitable in life.
Yeah.
So like that's what happened to me. That's where I kind of like went different with it. But yeah, man. So YouTube, hip hop, fucking it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, we all find our way somewhere or another, and I don't think it should be it should never be judged on the way people find their way. I think that's the whole idea. The more opportunities we can find our way to the light, whatever that may be, whether hip hop is the light. But for me, I found my way through what maybe someone in OG hip hop would look down upon. But for me to learn the ways and really soak in those things and become a representation of that eventually, I think that's the most beautiful part. It doesn't really matter on how you get there.
Yeah.
I think it's, especially nowadays, like for us to expect people to really be on some like OG shit is just ridiculous. Like these kids are learning everything through the phone, and like we might have had a different experience, but they don't really have an option anymore.
I knew the world was totally fucking different when Lil Xan said that Tupac's music is boring.
Yeah. There's no connection.
When he said that, I was like, oh fuck yeah, we're in a whole
There's no
different
bridge
world
between
now.
generations, or people talking about like there was this weird comparison I saw about Future and Jay-Z, and I was just like, all right, like, I get that dude. You might identify more with that, but that kind of boils back down to what we were talking about, where it's like it's their experience, and when you're younger, you just kind of feel like your vision, the goggles that you have on, is the only way people have ever looked at the world. Yeah. And it's like,
dude, no, definitely. Like, when he said that, I was like, wow, like that was a huge like realization for me. Like, damn, we're definitely moving in a different direction. And it doesn't mean it's a bad direction. No. It's just, it's a whole new...
You just have to find... We have to learn what the essence is, because before it was, we could sit here and be like, oh, well, you don't play vinyl, you're a DJ and you use Serato, and like now some of the best producers in the world use Serato sample, and it's like the irony of that, and it's like people are going to find their way to hip hop, and I think at the end of the day it's the finished product, it's the emotion, it's the personality, it's the presence, it's all these things that represent whatever it may be, whether it's hip hop or something else. And I just think that like it's ironic that we're in this place now where even people that were very stubborn before have had to adapt, especially with technology and social media. And you have all these producers that never would have made a video in their life, and now they're like making like how-to videos. And it's like, well, it's like, man, like it just made me realize that's kind of sad in certain ways for me, because I'm like, I had to start posting more content, which I didn't want to do either. Like I just want to put music out and have people digest it, and then you get shows and you get whatever. And now it's like, if you don't constantly remind people of your existence,
just fade away.
Kinda. And then you have people that are older that have to pay their bills. It's like, well, I guess I have to make some of these videos now. So I'm like, well, at the end of the day, does that mean that none of that matters then? Like, so what is the essence? So that whole metric is dead, essentially. And it's like, so like, what do you uphold? Is it like, just like when like we first met, you were like, oh, like, like, I don't know if I like this. It was like, that doesn't matter anymore. It's like, it's almost weird because we almost have to like find each other and hold on to each other, because it's going so fast that these these different essences and parts of it are going to fade unless we hold on to it and reciprocate that or regurgitate that or show people that or just represent that in some way. And it's like, yeah, it's not really about the mode or the transportation anymore. It's really just what you uphold and what you represent. Because like, yeah, of course, like vinyl's cool again now, but the old vinyl people are like, well, I used to spin vinyl, and then there's this, and like every style ever is happening at once, and then kids are dressing like 1995, but also like 1972, and it's like, it's such a cluster that's like, all right, well, obviously no one has control of this, so it's kind of more like, I think in a weird way, I think hip hop and rap has taken a little bit of a hiatus in certain ways. I think people are kind of going back to the roots of like songwriting and like soul. Yeah, I've noticed, but it doesn't mean that hip hop can't come together. And I think that there's just a different version of it now.
The cycle is restarting. It's like it started with live music and then sampling and then hip hop. And now it's back to live music, sampling, and it's going to go back to hip hop.
Probably, yeah, exactly.
And hip hop was like that first fusion music, really, kind of.
Yeah, you know, it was a counterculture like punk a little bit, but it was a little more like, I guess the hip hop depends on the version, but yeah, it really was. It was
kind of the first thing in music to ever take all of it and put it into one thing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like it was like almost like the original electronic music in the way that electronic music is just like, oh, we're putting different things together, and it's like hip hop was like putting these different like, oh yeah, it's almost like the first curating or DJing was happening through hip hop in a way, because you're almost like, because you think about some producers or certain DJs, they're almost like curating. Some people take a break in a sample and maybe another sound, that's a beat. In a way that's almost DJing, but it's happening with more calculation. It's almost like the way that freestyling is like, writing is a more fine-tuned version of freestyling. Because when you start writing, what do? You start freestyling.
Yeah.
You go, I'm ripping on something. This starts from the freestyle. So it's like, in the same way that DJing is a faster version of producing, it's almost like hip hop was this way of like putting things together and kind of like flipping stuff and kind of throwing it back at the world. Like, you know, obviously it was already kind of a counterculture. And I don't think everybody got into hip hop because they wanted to say fuck you to the world. But I do think that it's like, there is this like, all right, well, we're going to use these tools that if you don't want to create a lane for us, we're going to create our own lane. And we're going to. I think
there's definitely a level of that for me. Like, I mean, I've always been rebellious. I've always been trying to find ways to express that inner anger or whatever. And so when and I've always been a writer too. And that was the first skill set I realized I had as a kid. When I was like in 4th grade, I won a writing contest. And that's when I realized like, oh shit, I have something. And so I kept that going. And so when I found hip hop, I took my writing skills and put it into that. And I was like, fuck yeah, now I really have something. Using my voice, my writing, and all the shit. So it was kind of like this vindictive, like vengeful thing, like me against the world or whatever the fuck. And then that really fucking exasperated with the whole kill Gov and political stuff or whatever. Then I chilled out and then it calmed down. And now I'm finding different reasons to write, different reasons to make music. But one thing that I really liked, I think Carlos Santana said this. He said, somebody said this, but basically, you know, you got to make music that gives you the chills. You know, like if, and I do that now with everything I create. Actually, you know, I've been in a live band before. And there's this weird high that happens when like everybody's in sync.
100%.
And you get the chills and you feel it. And like, I started chasing that high, like at every band practice. Like, can we fucking like recreate that? Like, what is this? Like, you literally like elevate, your consciousness elevates when it's like that magic moment of the music really fucking happening. And so now when I make music or even when I do stuff like this, I try to like find that. I don't try to force it, but that's really my only goal. Is like, am I creating something that is energetically inspiring?
It has to be.
Even to me. Yeah. If it's not energetically inspiring to me, okay, fuck, whatever. I'm working. But hopefully it'll be energetically inspiring to somebody.
Sure.
You know, that's really the only goal. It's not, can I be the most lyrical motherfucker? You know, can I be the best MC? This and that. Like, nah. I mean, that all comes with whatever.
Which sometimes is needed. Yeah. But I don't think that has to be the end all be all goal every time.
Yeah, they're accolades. Yeah. You know, it may happen, you know, but it's not my purpose anymore.
Back to what you were saying where it was like everything was kind of more like this, I want to express outward what I had inward. there's nothing wrong with like what we were doing, chasing like the Vinnie Paz and the Moral Technique. I think they did something, and there's even people out there that be like, "Oh, those fools are, like we don't do that no more." I'm
I
like,
still love all of that.
yeah, but it's like that. But that's like picking anything that was a part of our childhood and being like, oh, like acting like it didn't matter.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous because all that mattered, and like you said, like you learned how to rap yourself.
Yeah.
And became like this prideful. I'm like, this is mine. Like, can't nobody take this away from me.
Yeah.
And all the words that I put together is like, as much as I get influence from these people, like I have my own perspective. I have my own ideas. And so it's like, we're taking influence from people just as everybody always has. And that's what hip hop is sampling, like we were talking about. Yeah. And it's like, I don't think that should die at all. I just do think that there was parts of rap and hip hop that were like, we have to say something every time we get on the mic, and that's fine. But I think that there is a little bit of people that understand, like when now we realize, like, wow, all these like all the soul music and the oldies and the jazz and even like Gloria Estefan, like random shit that we would listen to growing up. We're like, oh, like I actually identify with that, and like music is bigger than just a rapper.
Yeah, it's kind of like the collective consciousness, like awakening, and now we're kind of all realizing like maybe we should just chill out and enjoy life more.
I do think there is a weird one of the biggest forms of connectivity in the world today is music. Yeah. And there's kids that I've talked to that know so much, and maybe they didn't go through it like either we did or more so like our OGs and stuff, but they get it. And the thing is, we can talk about it, and it's like something that like they understand the love for the music, and it's not just like, oh, listen to what this dude's saying. Like, that's dope. But I think there's a time for that, for conversational things. I'm just thinking
now, like, it's kind of funny, like, like the Kali Yuga, right? Like the Yuga cycles. Mm-mm. So in Hinduism, in the broader Vedantic culture, there's this idea of the Yugas. So it's a cycle of time, and I forget what the length of each one is, but each one indicates a certain time period of humanity's consciousness. Sure. Right? And so the Kali Yuga, which is the one that we're in, is like the most fucking bloody and disastrous, and just where everything's being like tested. Right? And then we come out of that and then go back to like the golden age. Sure. But I was just thinking, like, in a funny manner, like, you could tell where somebody's at with like what type of hip hop they're listening to. Yeah. Like, where are you at right now? Are you on the Vinnie Paz like nonfiction scale? Is that where you're at? Like, oh shit, now I'm over here like on the J. Cole or whatever scale. It's like it's its own little Yuga cycle thing. Like I see some young people, and they're like super into like the Jedi mind tricks, Moral Technique.
Which is good they even know what that is anymore, because there's not really that many. Like they probably go to high school, and they don't really have many people they can share that with. Even when I was younger, there wasn't, but it's even less nowadays. I think that rap has been kind of like, I guess it's gone back to more of like the mainstream people, if you will, quote unquote. Yeah. But I do think that like those are people from another era. It depends on this generation to have new versions of that, whether we need that or not. I think it's like, and like, who knows, maybe like you were saying, like at a certain part, obviously everything is cyclical. And I think that maybe now, because we're being tested so much, that we have to simplify the rest of our journey by finding more just heartfelt and like groovy music that we can identify with, that we all love, that we're like, all right, all this shit's happening in the world. Maybe we just need a little bit of simplification on all aspects. Maybe we don't need to like martify, if that's the word, to everything. You know what I mean? And I think maybe there's a little bit of that happening, which, I don't know. Obviously, everything will go through cycles, and maybe they're happening at different times, but it is interesting to see what goes on and like what will come later. I think it's also up to us to keep those ideas alive, because these are the same things that happened back in the day when certain people had ideas, certain books were burned, but we have different versions of that with technology, where those songs and those things can be immortalized with technology. Maybe, maybe something will happen in technology where that will be cut off, but at least right now those can be kept alive, and it's not just some book in a library somewhere. And it's people being able to find their self through these things, whatever it is. And if you identify with that and you're an artist, or you really love something that much, I think it's up to you to tell people that. You don't gotta be too scared to be like, oh, they're not gonna fuck with that. Like, maybe they will.
Like Immortal Technique said, man, when I'm dead and buried and this album is on a library on a shelf, I probably butch that. I'll be dead, and I'll be one with God and everyone else. Yeah. Remember that? He says
I think so.
He says, when I'm dead and this album is on a library on a shelf, I'll be gone, and I'll be one with God and everyone else. Okay. Something like that.
I'm sure I've heard that one, but dude, I remember when I was listening to Moral Technique the first time I really heard it, I was doing community service.
Oh shit!
I was shoveling dirt, and I was
all
like,
angry and shit.
Spitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, yeah. No, but I
Dance
listened to
with the
forever.
devil.
I used to watch. I was really into battle rap. I used to watch his battles. You
Hell
know?
yeah!
I used
Well,
to
yeah,
listen
man.
to
Let's get back
talk
into
about that stuff. Yeah,
your journey real quick. So, but no, that was all beautifully said. I forgot where we spun off on all that, but
where we met.
oh shit! Okay, yeah.
No, yeah.
Oh, the very beginning and shit. When I didn't like you, no, yeah. So you started writing when you were young, and then when did you start actually performing? Like, when did that start happening for you? And when did you transition from New Aura to the next name?
So I've had like 7 names.
Okay.
So I had New Aura. I had D-Mize. D-Mize.
D-Mize.
Mm-hmm. And then I had, I think it was Synthetic. And then I had Zoo1, which is ZU1, which is 0 under 1, which 1 over 0 is undefined in math. If you divide it.
Oh, you were going through your mathematical.
Bro, and then
Socrates philosophies
era.
Yeah,
bro. And then I had some like other producer names too. And then I was Knox Overstreet. And then
I remember that one.
Adam Flowers. So I think there were other ones that I might have had ideas of, but I didn't really like fully implement them. But yeah, I mean, I learned to freestyle really well. It's kind of how I developed my style a little more, I think. And then I would record stuff on GarageBand with my friends. But I think the first time I ever really recorded for real was with Chase Moore, who I make music with. I'd been in like a lab before, like I paid for studio time. It was just some guy that records rock, and like he didn't know how to mix. I was like, oh, like make me sound like dope. Like, and I'm just like, it was just a raw, like compressed vocal, and I was like, why doesn't this sound sick? Like, and I had to be with someone that knew what they were doing to really start to realize what worked and didn't work for me. Because I used to write stuff, and I'd be like, oh, this is gonna sound dope, and maybe I had a melody idea or a certain. I always play with my voice when I was younger too, like, which is why I'm able to do so much with my voice now, I think. Is because I was always trying to find different styles and different ways. I love so much music. I was like, let me just try and like do all this stuff. Like I'm just obsessed with making new things and like being a musician. And it took me a little bit once I started recording. I'm like, all right, that's not going to work for me or this or that. But you know, I was still like rapping my ass off. So I made a bunch of stuff with him that was just kind of like get my rocks off, for lack of better words, and just like finding my way. And then I really started like developing my style. Probably around like 2015.
2015.
So for years, I'd just been recording on GarageBand, and I had some demos, and I recorded with this random producer from Encinitas, and we had some stuff that never came out. And like, I'd definitely been in the booth before. I just don't think I really had a chance to develop a style. I just had different ways of recording myself, and I would just write verses, and we'd get in the car and throw on an instrumental, we'd trade off verses and freestyle for hours. And that was pretty much
days,
just,
man.
Yeah, you know, so it was just constant just rap obsession. And then at a certain point, it became like me developing my style. And then from there, I started doing all different types of shit with music and learning how to just sing and do choruses. And I think,
you sing pretty damn good.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, which we got to get into that a little bit too. But as you were saying, so 2015, what was that? Fuck, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, which it seemed like yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's weird. But yeah, I kind of grew up a little more. I think at the time I was like, at 2015, so I was like 23, 24.
Wow.
I just, you become a little more of a man at the time, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna use my voice a little more. But yeah, then I started like kind of trying different styles. I met these producers where I was even like making like pop music and stuff, and like like I still, some of that stuff's still out. I really started putting music out for real probably 2016.
2016.
And ever since then, there was a time when I used to delete my music. I think we all did that, right?
Dude, all my music's gone.
I had this conversation with myself where I was like, you need to stop deleting music. This is you. This is part of your journey. And I think I have a lot of friends that either are waiting for their perfect time to be an artist, or every time they drop something, they're like, then delete it. And it's like, you're holding yourself back because you're constantly waiting for this perfect time of emergence, and it's not necessarily going to happen the way you think it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I realized, I'm like, all right, I need to stop. Like, I did that. It's out there. You felt confident. You're a man. And like, I think sometimes you get high or you do this. You're like, like, I hate it. And it's like, you're always going to feel that way. But at a certain point, I got good enough, and I was like, you can't keep deleting your music. And I kind of like drew a line in the sand. And like around then I was like, even that stuff, because the stuff is very well produced.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look back and I'm like, but I'm like, I'm just having a moment where I feel like I'm not confident in myself. So things seem corny, but it's not how people get high and think that all the time. You know, you ever get high and everything seems corny, you know?
Yeah. Everything, life just, what the
everyone's
fuck?
like, what are we doing? What am I? So there's a little bit of that, but at a certain point I just kind of stopped and I was like, you're you. Like, you need to like hold that. And I think for a long time I cared too much what people thought. And even earlier when I wasn't being accepted, and like even say someone like you, like, and you're like, oh, this, you know, and I would feel that. I would feel this shit from people. I'm like, maybe they don't fuck with me. And I wanted acceptance. I was always a very like heartfelt, like introspective, introverted kid growing up. And I always just wanted people to love me, and I had my heart on my sleeve.
Where do you think that comes from?
I mean, it could be astrology. I am a Cancer, but it also just
way.
It also comes
Me
from
too.
just the way I was raised. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a cusp. I'm June 22nd.
All right, I'm July 6th.
I'll see you.
Hey.
No, I'm very much a Cancer, and I know that. And the thing is, when I was younger, I just didn't have the strength to like. I didn't want people to hate me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, like, all right, my bad, or like, you know. And it wasn't like that I was like a pussy or anything.
Yeah.
It was just more. I was like, I don't want you to like. I don't. Oh, I'm like, why don't you like me? I was just such a like. A nice kid. When I was around the wrong kids, I was a little fucking shithole, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I got older and it was through hip hop. Hip hop in the weirdest way, like, made me a man. Because I was like, nah, fuck that. You know? And like, it made me go, even in the workplace and stuff. And as an MC, I had to like stand up for myself. And it's like, I realized like, people don't like me, I think sometimes because maybe they just don't align with my personality. But I think sometimes because they're threatened by me. And I'm different. And the thing is, I grew up learning hip hop in so many different ways from so many different people. I hung out with so many different types of people in ESCO. And I grew up in my own world. I wasn't really influenced by the hip hop scene because I wasn't allowed in. So the moment that I came in, I was like, I'm Adam and I'm not any of you. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with what they were. But I realized I'm like, I took all this time to develop me and use every part of my journey to develop that. And when I came into it, I was just more like, well, fuck, you know, no, this is you. So when I saw, I was like, this is me.
Because
like,
I didn't know if I didn't like you. And I think it's because you were super
different.
new and
they're like, who's this fool? He thinks like fucking glass. And like, at the time, I didn't even have the glasses. So I was like, and then like, it's funny. I think if I had glasses back then, it would have made it a little harder for me.
Probably.
By the time I had the glasses, I was like, all right, I'm doing my thing. But it really was like I'm just different, man. I realized that like people, whether it's the defining characteristics as a hip hop artist. I mean, if someone were to see my video and they're like, oh, who's this fucking white boy with the glasses and the nose? And it's like, that's cool. And I always had to like kind of double down on not being like a little dicky, or people would be like, oh, you sound like Logic or Drake. And there's always like this random ass comparison because that's just what they do. And that's fine. I'm not tripping. But it took me a little extra to earn what I have. And not be boxed into that, as well as be like, oh, whatever. Nowadays, people say shit, and people will be like, dude, that didn't piss you off. I'm like, no. Like, it doesn't. I'm so used to that. That's just what they do. Their brain gravitates towards that. That's not my fault, or even theirs, really. You know, it's like, and it's just like, we all have our separate journey, and some people, you know, growing, like, I would be around MCs that just be like, they had the voice, they'd be like, yeah, and every time they get on the mic, they just yell and it was perfect, you know, and like, and it was like, I had to be like, hey, yo, like I had to like find my voice. So it took me a little longer. It wasn't as easy. So I'm like, and I was like, damn, like maybe I'm just not hip hop, because I wanted to be such a rapper. Doesn't mean that I'm not a rapper anymore, but it's like, it made me like delve so much deeper into like the sounds I grew up with and all the shit that I like hearing my mom playing like Sade and Enya and smooth jazz, and then my dad playing like bluegrass and classic rock and like Crosby, Stills and Nash type shit, and like James Taylor, and then like my sister playing all that hip hop, and I'm like, I have influences from all this. So when I kind of got rid of like the I'm gonna be the best rapper in the world mentality, I was like, oh, like I there's so much more to
when did you realize you can sing?
Probably like 2016,
right around the same time.
I started doing choruses a little more. I remember when I was recording with Chase. And it was like, because, you know, like back in the day, it was like, if you can sing on a chorus, but if you're a rapper and you're singing, you're like, oh, all right, Drake. Like, it was like, you're allowed to sing on a chorus, but if you're going to sing outside of a chorus, you're like, all right, what are we, you know?
What are you doing?
I was like very good at like some random hip hop shit. I was like, that's kind of hard. And then I was like, already trying to sing, and then honestly, SoundCloud had a big influence on me with just all the different types of eclectic music that were happening. I was like, wow, there's like a big boom in like shit happening right now. And I just really like listened to that and kind of just like got more into my roots. And I stopped actually writing for like a year. I remember I made a conscious decision to stop writing because I felt like when I was writing, I was like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was very like looking at the lines. And I had to develop more style by not writing, just freestyling. Just kind of like thinking of ideas and cadences. I would record memos and I would do different things. And
so you just let it flow.
I was just so like, MC the bomb, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just knew there was more to my journey than that. You know? And I just, you know, and that, it's like, I guess it seems like I'm speaking down on rap or hip hop, but you know where we both. You know what we're saying. They know what we're saying.
Absolutely.
But I just think everyone has a different place in this world, different journey. And I think I was just limiting myself. And I think sometimes people, I almost look at it as like it was meant to be by me being shunned because it made me look in other directions. Otherwise, if I was just like, hell yeah, Adam, then I would have just been like, yeah, I'm good. And then I wouldn't have had to learn more.
Exactly. You would have just been like another one of those MCs.
Another statistic, low key.
Yeah. Another North County, like, you know, artist, whatever. Because a lot of people never really stuck out, you know, like.
Well, they never had to try harder.
Exactly. So
some people are accepted, especially people in high school. When you think about the jock guy, they make like the American Pie, the movies, or say he's like the guy is like, oh, like he's cool in high school, and then they meet him later, and he's like still in his hometown. He's like, what's up? And it's like because he never had to work for it because he got everything he wanted early on, and he didn't have to find a little, you know. And of course, you could just be like, yo, fuck them, and your parents are always like, don't worry about them, honey, like da da da. And it's like I didn't need that, but it's just like it's important, I think, for people to like you don't have to listen to what they're saying, but maybe just try something else or go other places. Obviously you're not accepted there, so maybe if you really want to be there, just get better and prove to them, or just go do something else, you know, because we do need people at the end of the day. And that's the weird part is like back at home I was like, man, I want to go, you know, like it's like it is what it is, but you know, like, and to this day, there's people that I know that were hating on me. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, it's all good. Because at the end of the day, I love that shit more than any little drama bullshit that could ever happen between me or another person. Because the thing that I loved when I was a child is the thing that to this day means more to me. Like, that's still the dream that I want to live, you know? Like, there's still people like that to this day that I'm like kind of around more. That like, say 10 years ago, I'd be like, damn, like, I wish I could, like, me and him could just make a track and this and that. But I was like, why are they being this way? And I was like, I really was more innocent when I was younger. And it's like, I've lost a little bit of that, but I'm also 31 years old. And it's like,
the world fucks you up, man.
Yeah. And it's up to us to just keep that. And I think I've realized it's just keeping a little bit of that like innocent youth in you, but also being strong.
I'm happy that I got out of like the hater spell, you know, like I really seldom like hate on things anymore. Like anything. Like I'm more prone to being open-minded and checking things out and giving people the benefit of the doubt. You know, still having, you know, my wits about me, you know, for sure.
Well, if someone wants to test you or someone wants to be like, all right, bro.
Absolutely. But it's funny because like I'll be out there in the streets, like just small example, right? Like I'm hanging out with my homegirl and she's like in the hip hop scene. So I'll go hang out with her and her hip hop homies and stuff. And they're like still in like the MC mindset, like, yo, what up? Like just kind of energetically testing. But I'm just so lax and just like, so up, elevated from that because I already been through that, you know, that like I'm on the next level where it's like, bro, I'm not here to compete with like humans anymore. Like I'm for real out here competing with like fucking angels and demons, you know, 100%. For lack of a better word. Like,
but that's the journey we go on as humans. I do wish more people adopted that, but I do think, I don't want to say it's archaic, but at a certain point, you know, there's no taking away from what hip hop or what just social shit was. Even like in the 90s or the 80s or shit was like, fuck you looking at? Like, or like, and it's that still exists, but I think that we've become, I don't know if this is like out of touch, but like civilized in certain ways. As much as the world has gone to a certain way and has gotten worse in certain ways, I just think that like at a certain point, like that's not necessary. I think more people see that, and as they get older, it's like you shouldn't just have to get older and have kids to realize you got to be a better person. And it's like, you know, I just think that yeah, there's certain people that are like, oh, it's not hip hop or it's not this and that. Like, yo, you got to like hold your own.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain people that I know that I've had to stop hanging out with because they're just so aggressive constantly. When they go place, they look at people like, yo, what you looking at? And it's just like, man, like, no one's on that type of vibe right now, bro.
Like
and I get it. Like, maybe that's where you came from. And if you're still there, if you feel like you have to uphold that, that's fine.
It's
but like,
bro, we're at Yum Yum Donuts right now.
yeah, exactly.
Like, relax.
Yeah. So there's just a little bit of that. And I do think that, of course, like, I think what it boils down to is what the ego is and what pride is. And it doesn't mean that ego and pride have to not exist anymore. We're humans, but it's being able to like discern between, like, when you have to stand up for yourself and when you're being an asshole.
No,
you know?
absolutely.
And it's like, or just being strong. And of course, the world's going to take advantage of you. But yeah, I think it's just hip hop came from that counterculture and came from the hood and came from the streets and came from things that some people didn't even have to experience, but they still upheld that like energy. I'm like, but that's not necessarily what we all have to do. No. You can say it on the track, like say it on the track, say scream it.
I'm glad you said that. Like, the only reason I really make music now is for like therapeutic reasons. Yeah. Like, I might come out. Actually, well, I'm hosting a show a couple weeks from now for the Homegirl. It's gonna be, it's mostly a female showcase. It's like all her homegirls. It's gonna be pretty dope down in OB. Word. And I'm gonna be hosting it. She wants me to be the MC, like the actual MC, like the host and shit.
Where is it at? What venue?
Humble Heart.
Okay, word.
Yeah. I'll send you the flyer. It's pretty cool. She's gonna have, she's got one male guest who's performing, which is like her like main homie that she supports. But she wants me to MC. She wants me to host. So I'm gonna be there hosting, and she's like, she really, really wants me to perform a song or two. So like, all right, fuck it. I'll bring out the old bag. You know, the old bag of tricks.
Why not, man?
Do a little something. You know, but yeah, no, like. Maybe one day I might step back out in the world like that, but right now it's just mostly just for therapy. Like, I got so much unheard music because it's literally just, I just need to get it the fuck out.
Of course.
Like, you know, like energetically. But yeah, man, not that we're running out of time, but I do want to touch on some other subjects. Yeah, because I mean, we can go on and on about all of this, and
that conversation could never stop.
Yeah, because we're both so passionate.
That's like 5% really of the conversation. You know, what I mean, we could get personal with this. So yeah, let's
but I like what you're saying. Basically, you know, the world is evolving. You know. Consciously, and the music, the art, the entertainment, the culture is reflecting that because it's all just so mixed. There's no like hard blending. No, there are no more hard lines. It's like everything's quantum. Everything's happening at once. Like you mentioned earlier. Like you got somebody over here dressing like 1930s, dressing like 1970s.
It's like we're in one big high school, and it's like kind of like everyone's finding themselves, and it's like it's fine. Yeah. It's a little different of an experience now, but
everything's available. You can be whoever you want. You can know whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. You can find someone that agrees with you.
Exactly. Hey, I like
so there is good things happening. You know?
I like that. You can today. The best thing about today is you can find somebody that agrees with you. Mm-hmm. Adam Flowers quote, for sure, man. But I definitely want to touch on alcoholism.
Let's do it.
So you go through this journey as an artist, and then you've had a lot of success too, which we'll get back on. You've had a lot of success as an artist. We'll talk a little bit about this new showcase that you put together, which is, you've only done 2 so far, and they're already like fucking huge. They've been huge successes, and I'm sure that it's just going to continue to grow. Yeah. But amidst all of this, like most of us artists, you had some trouble with alcohol, and then you beat it for some time, and you kind of came back to it with a new relationship. So walk us through this. When did you realize alcohol was an issue, and how did it lead to you becoming sober?
Well, I mean, I probably realized alcohol was an issue a long time ago, which I don't know exactly when, but it's funny. The year I became what I would consider an alcoholic was the year I stopped smoking weed. Because I was having like lung issues, and I was using an inhaler every once in a while. I think I just smoked cigarettes and weed, and I had this thing at my job with like some chemicals or some random. And I don't even know, maybe I was placebo affecting myself, or maybe it was anxiety. I don't know. But I stopped smoking weed. I just couldn't breathe. And I just felt like I couldn't get a full breath. And started drinking more and being in the industry, being a server. But the thing is, like that was all part of my journey. I loved it. All the ideas and the free flowing of alcohol that I use is great. But after a certain amount of time, as most people know, it's like you can't really do all these things forever. You can't eat burgers. You can't drink alcohol. You can't do whatever you want all the time forever. Yeah, some people can. Some people have what they call the Mickey Mantle gene, and they get away with that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it definitely affects me very harshly. I started getting like 3-day hangovers, and like stuff started happening. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But what I realized I was an alcoholic is I kept fighting that, because I just wanted to be around certain things, and I just like had so much like free flowing up here, as well as like me dealing with anxiety that I've always had. I think part of the reason that I drink is my anxiety and my social aspects. Like, you know, I was an introvert growing up, and I would consider myself an extroverted introvert. But yeah, like I had already stopped drinking before, and it was always just like this back and forth thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, like he's just stopping again, he's starting again." I'm like, yeah, you know, I just at least need to chill. But it's like, this is what we do, man. Like, it's not even just Southern California, but especially when you live in the craft beer capital and like such like a party place and such like a tourist like centric, just everything in Southern California, you know. And it's like, I met so many people and had so many experiences and memories through alcohol that I could never take away from that. And it's like, yes, it's an abusive substance for most people, but you know, alcohol is alcohol. It was created by the world or God or whatever it may be, and whether it's that or weed or this or that, and obviously it's the fermenting process, but obviously that's part of the science that the universe has created beautifully for us. And I think these things are used as medicine for certain people, and it's like, it's interesting, but we just have we had this habit of abusing these things. And for me, I tied it all together with my social, whether it was dating or being around friends or making music. And so I fought it for a long time. And finally I was like, man, I feel like shit. My brain's foggy. I feel dehydrated all the time. I'm just like unhappy. I get depressed when I'm hungover. And then obviously there was like other drugs involved in this scenario. And so at a certain point I stopped for 6 months, and I was like, wow, this is great. And like, you know, it's funny, I was just joking about the homie yesterday, where it's like, people will be like, yeah, like I remember I was sober, I felt really good, and we'll just like keep drinking anyway. Like it's almost like, yeah, then why don't you? But I just, dude, like I missed the camaraderie of it. Yeah. And what happened was I was sober for 6 months.
Yeah, well, hold up. How did you get sober? Like, was that a painful process? I just
felt so bad and so depressed.
I feel like this is a thing that a lot of people who are sober just kind of gloss over, because I've kind of been obsessed with like sobriety content lately.
Sure.
Like, just like watching sobriety content and just trying to understand the different methods and the different testimonies.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because everybody has their different like low story or bottom story or whatever.
Yeah.
But the method they use to actually stop, right? It's like cold turkey is like the most rigid one. Like, I just woke up and realized, fuck it, I'm going to stop.
That's what I did.
You did the cold turkey. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you didn't like do a program or fucking meditate or whatever.
No. Well, I mean, technically, I guess if I did a program, I'd still be sober. So don't get me wrong, I'm still human. But I stopped for 6 months because I needed to.
So you just woke up one day and were like, this is it, today's the day.
Yeah, I just had such a bad hangover. I was like, I would like to never do this ever again. Wow. And it was just like such a bad feeling, because I want to keep the party going. I'm a binge drinker. I want to I want to have the legendary night. I want to be like, this is, you know, and then you know, there's a balance to life.
And that's dangerous too, because the legendary night never happens.
No, it doesn't. It's a constant chase.
Yeah,
and it's like,
it never happens. Because you think back and you think back to the last time you drank, and you're like, that wasn't really that cool. Like, I could do it better next weekend.
I think we just are afraid of the come down, so we stay there as long as we can as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. There is a whole psychological science to that. All I know is that I'm an addict and I chase it. Recently, I learned to like kind of just delve into it here and there. But
yeah, so you were sober 6 months, and then you said you liked it.
Well, what I did was I started a job again where I was doing.
Was that the only amount of time you were sober? 6 months?
I've been sober before, but that was the most recent one I was sober for 6 months. Which, you know, for some people ain't shit, but for some people it's a really
no. That's fucking, dude. I wish I could be there right now.
But it's just what we do, man. We're just so used to it. And the thing is, like, people like me and you meet through stuff like that. Yeah. And it's like some people don't know how to socially adapt without it. And it's not that I couldn't. I was doing a great job, but I just knew, like, I would go to a wedding or I'd go to here, I'd go to there. I'd be like, man, it would just be nice to have a drink with my friends. Yeah. It would be nice. It's my fault that I abused it, and maybe I need to say goodbye forever, but that thing exists. This is a independent variable, if you will. It is something that doesn't change. It doesn't have a personality. It doesn't have emotion. We are the problem.
Yeah. It's funny when you
And-
said you abuse it, because for the first time I realized, like, holy shit, if we're abusing these things, then doesn't that mean we are abusive?
No, we're the problem. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like literally like anything. It could be like any substance you could think of. Someone could just be addicted to tea and
Cookies, whatever.
It doesn't matter what it is. And it's like, for me, I wanted to be able to drink again because I was like, all right, like I knew how addicted I was. And I was like, if I stop now, I'll never drink again and I will have to become this person. And it made me realize how much like my personality relied on it. And then like also trying to be at places to still be like lively and this and that. And it doesn't mean that I'm different. I mean, I've done things like this. I've been around friends when I'm sober. And I actually had a friend tell me, he's like, you're the same person when you're sober. And I appreciate that. And I was like, that means a lot because I try to stay around. But I think it's also just health. I know people from high school, people locally that have like had like pancreatitis, have had liver failure and this and that. It's like 30-year-olds, and it's just like knowing that it was affecting me health wise. And I mean, it was everything. It was emotional. It was, just depression aspect. It was the health aspect. It was the mental aspect. And like, as a writer and as a creator, I could see where, I'd wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. Or like a family member, I don't want to call them back. Or like this, I'm just like, what is that? Like, why would I need to keep doing something that would be doing that to me?
Yeah.
And at a certain point, I was like, I need to get away from that. And the thing is, as much as I have been drinking again, that 6-month period that I did taught me so much and gave me such a strong foundation in being able to go back to it. I think what happens is people have been drinking since they were in high school and they have not had an amount of time where they were sober and
Some
been
of us
able to
before then, bro.
That's what I mean. And be able to deal with their emotions. And the thing is, like, I was able to go long enough where I'm like, I get it, what I need to do, where I should be. And I'm very conscious of my actions. Like when I do this, I'm like, I posted on Instagram. I was like, yo, I stopped drinking. And then like some people were like, oh, you're drinking again? I'm like, yeah, and like, even in the thing, I was like, I may drink again. I even said, I was like, I probably will drink again, but I'm just glad that I got this far. And if anybody needs any that needs to talk to me about it, because it's obviously a conscious effort. It would just be like, it would be like anything that you've had any sort of addiction for. I mean, it's hard to compare anything to alcohol because it's the most public and like normalized thing, but it's also such a deeply like rooted addictive thing. It's like, only weed, but like weed is just like, it's not the same when you compare it like alcohol.
Not at all.
But
it's got its own hindrances, but not nearly as severe as alcohol.
But yeah, lately I've been feeling like I'm kind of already over it. I just kind of do it when I'm, like doing certain things. Like today, like I had a beer and I was like, I'm just not going to run away from it. I'm going to see how it makes me feel. And like, honestly, I've already kind of been like, it catches up to you, even when you're trying to do it in the lightest version of it. And anyone out there that I think is going through that journey that would like to, nowadays, there's people that are like 25 in AA and there's people that are just going through it. It's like nobody's alone. I think it's just like being able to have a foundation in a life outside of alcohol. And some people don't know what that is. They went to college, they partied through college, they got after work on the weekends. Even with people have relationships with their significant other where they've not been able to be a person without alcohol. People like don't even know what it's like to have friends without it. And it's like, if you can't do that, you should definitely stop. I stopped because of my own health reasons and just for like my mental health as an artist. I want to be as sharp as possible, as well as just being able to be as like peaceful in the moment, nostalgia, the memories flooding back, all the things that you get from being sober is beautiful. And that's honestly the way we're supposed to live. But some people don't even know how to interact with the people that are around them or live. And it's like, if you're that person, you should 100% stop.
I told myself recently, I'm no longer going to build new relationships off of alcohol. Like I've had some people recently ask me like, yo, you want to go get a beer? Like some people that I just started hanging out with or whatever. Like, hey, you want to get a beer or whatever? Even though like secretly I was drinking at that time, You're
saying just the interaction, the pure interaction of no alcohol and just talking to someone.
Yeah. Like I'll give you an example. Like I met this dude recently. He came out to one of our meditation events. And he's like a fan of my work. And although I was then and still am in the process of recovery, I was drinking at that time, low key. But he's like, yo, man, like, it was so cool to hang out with you today. Like, you down to go, like, get a drink sometime? And I just straight up told him, like, oh, no, like, I don't drink. Even though it was just simpler to say it, you know, to lie, like, oh no, I don't drink. But because I don't want to formulate new relationships on alcohol.
Yeah.
Like old relationships, like homies that have known me, people that have known me, like, okay, like, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm fucking up this weekend, let's go out, you know?
Sure.
Everybody that's new in my life, sorry to tell you, but we're not going to drink together. Like, I'm not going to formulate any new relationships on that.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm just not. So if you've drank with me before, you're in luck.
You're the homie, bro.
Yeah, you're in that category. It means it can happen again, but no more new drinking. I
think that's important.
Another thing that you said that was important. There's a lot you just said that was important, but man, what's that? Alcoholism.
Cheers.
Cheers. No, dude, for real. You know. And so you went through it for 6 months, and then what was it like coming back? Like what?
It was like I never left.
Yeah, what was that moment like? Because I know I've been there. I've been like the month or 2 months. This is it. And then that day happens where you're like, well, guess I'm back, you know?
I felt like I flashed back to the last moment I drank.
Wow.
Like I felt like all that time didn't matter. And as sad as that seems, the feeling was so familiar that I was like, oh, here I am again. It was like a world and a realm and a feeling. It was like it's like hooking up with an old ex.
Oof. A good one though, like the hot one.
Yeah. You know, it's like it is what it is. But I just, you know, I've made a lot of social connections with alcohol, and that honestly is the reason I keep it around. And it's a journey that I've struggled with, and even talking about it, I think people should know that it's okay to struggle with it. The first step is acknowledgement. And the thing is, I went 6 months without drinking, and I've been drinking for a little bit, but I'm like, honestly, in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, I'm over it. Like, you don't need to. And I'll go home and I'll feel like in the morning, but I'm like, you know, a lot of like, even last month, like with like all the stuff that I did, I'm like, I still got all my things done. Maybe I was a little less creative. Maybe I didn't get up in the morning. Maybe I didn't have my time for peace, but it's like, it's a struggle for everyone, man. And I just, you know, it really just depends on what do you want to do. Like, I don't think you should feel guilty about it because of other people. If you want to do it, then do it.
Yeah, it's really that simple. Life should be that simple, right? Like, it should be so simple. Like, whatever you like doing and makes you feel good, you should do it, right?
Yeah.
But then that comes with the whole, like, gray area of, like, motherfuckers who like to do evil shit. You know, like, don't do evil shit. But with that, you know, in mind, like, obviously, you know, no evil shit. But without the evil shit, life should literally be that simple. If you like to drink, fucking drink.
If it's clearly a problem, then you should address it. You know,
yeah. It should be that simple, but that's why it's not, because certain things lead to destruction.
Of course.
You know? Because
this, I think, is the gateway drug. I don't think that weed is the gateway drug. This is the gateway drug.
Motherfucking earth is the gateway drug, man.
But like this to going back to old places, to emotional things, to old memories, old to this, and it's like you were able to just like break the wall down and be like, fuck it, and people just do that. It's like I have not been doing that as of late, and I've really been kind of like, when I do it, it's just for the pure moment that I'm in.
Yeah.
But a lot of people be drinking, they start doing other stuff, and then they're just exhausting every resource they have. Just that, like, that's drug addict mentality. And it's like, you know, it's like, if you go home after work and you drink and you don't think about it at all, like, then whatever, you know. But if you constantly go home and you're like, oh, what am I doing? Like, then just stop. You know,
I love drinking. I fucking love drinking.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love alcohol.
I want to be able to have a drink with my aunt or my uncle at an event, like cheers, and be like, to life. But
with my dad, my mom.
We also grow up in certain cultures. Like, I'm part Mexican, and it's like, people don't stop drinking, bro.
Oh, hell
They'll tell you to stop smoking weed because it's the devil, but they'll be alcoholics till the day they die. And it's like, so it's tough, man. And it's like, I'm Irish, Mexican, and Native American. Oh, which Mexican is Native American, but it's like, I'm all the fucking alcoholics.
Hardcore,
It's like, so I'm just very well aware of my journey, and, you know, I've been able to overcome people being like, come on. I'm like, nah, man, like, I'm good. Or people sometimes don't understand, like, why'd you stop drinking? And you're like, oh, because they don't have a problem with it. So they're so perplexed as to why. Whoa, like, why don't you just have a drink? It's fine. It's like, so
I wish I was one of those people that never had a problem or never thought they had a problem. I was thinking about this today. I'm like, I don't know what's more true. I don't know what's more of a lie. That I have a problem with alcohol or I don't have a problem with alcohol. I don't know which one's the bigger lie. Because they can both be a lie. That I have a problem or that I don't have a problem.
Right, because you telling yourself you have a problem is creating this fear of what you're doing, which is creating guilt, and which is creating this emotional thing that is tugging you down.
Yeah.
So you're constantly aware of it, and that's what creates negativity sometimes. Like if you weren't even thinking about it,
Dude,
it wouldn't even be. But I think it's just when it boils down to your health and like your productivity, and you can see these things happening, and you have a normal input, and then the drinking is a clear difference in input. Then like
there's a problem.
outputs or whatever. But it's interesting, man. But
there was something I was going to say earlier. I just remembered. It's not that I like that you're drinking again. It's, I mean, whatever. It's not that I like it, but I was appreciative that you were drinking again for a strange reason, because you were one of the few people in my life that I saw inspiring because of your sobriety. Yeah. And not to put this responsibility on you to be weird, my cousin Vex, when he got sober a couple years ago, it was so inspiring to watch, and I was still getting fucked up and everything. And every time I'd see him, like, standing there just sober, I'm like, how the fuck is he doing this right now? Like, what is the hidden power, And so when I would see you recently, like, and I was still a maniac and everything, I would look at you the same way, like, how the fuck is he doing
How's he just here with us? And then, all right, bye. Like, you just get so used to it. Yeah. I think the biggest thing about sobriety is like the first couple weeks. Yeah. And then being able to remove yourself, you're like, oh, okay, this is normal. And then after that, the honeymoon phase ends, and about like 2 months in, you're like, all right, I want to drink. Yeah. And so this is that's more just being used to the pace of life. And
but I say that I don't. It's not that I like your drink. I'm appreciative of it because it made me realize that, like, this is about me. Like, I can't look at other people and like try and pull inspiration from them, because everybody's going through their own journey, And I don't want somebody to look at me like I'm some kind of superhero or something. Like, I want to be like him, because I'm getting fucked up behind the scenes sometimes.
If you're not ready to stop, then you might be in a place where, like, dude, I just want to party, and that's fine. Yeah. But someone else might be going through a health thing or a family, or like they're going through so much sadness that drinking would really bring them down. Or people would stop for different reasons, and mine was like purely just like, dude, like this is hurting you. It's not helping.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Not to cut you off, but on that point, this one's a funny one. I saw a comment on my channel recently. Somebody, like a couple of days ago, somebody was like, "Man, you're so inspiring, and you look so healthy. You've been making like good life decisions, whatever." Just complimenting me. But they specifically said, "You look healthy, like you've been making good life decisions." I'm like, bro, hell no. I've been doing the opposite. Like, I've been fucking bitches, railing lines, and drinking to oblivion.
Bro, Ralph Quasar, Dane's brother, told me that like the other day. He's like, man, you look like better. He's like, no offense. He's like, but you look better. Like, or you look like skinny or like something. I was like, I was kind of like chubby. I was always a skinny kid. I was always like the kid that would just have the 6-pack, like, and for a bit, I just, and I mean, luckily, I guess for me, I had my appendix removed last year.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So I lost 20 pounds right there. Wow. Just not eating and this and that. And I kind of just kept it down. I gained a little weight back afterwards, but like people were like, oh shit, like, and it made me realize, I'm like, damn, people like notice these things and didn't even say anything, or like people are constantly watching us, but at the same time we live in this realm of partying where like people are just gonna let you do whatever. It's up to you to pull yourself out, because they're giving you the freedom. And around here, it's normal to do all that shit. It's not we don't live on some like Amish farm where we stand out, or like we don't live in a place where like alcohol, like it's like a dry state or this and that. Like we live in Partyville. It's like you might have certain friends or family members that'll tell you, but you'll be like, or it's just it's different for everyone's journey. But it's like it's just interesting to see like people aren't going to stop you from living your life. You have to stop, because people aren't going to know how shitty you feel or how deep down the hole you are. Because you put on a good face and you go to work and you still keep it up. They might be like, in the back of the head, they might be like, wow, he seems like he's a little, but they might not confront you because they're not like you. You might confront someone else because that's the person you are. But you can't expect other people to do that for you. You just have to do it for yourself. And if you need help, just ask, like.
Yeah. I'm kind of working on a project right now, and to kind of reveal a little bit of it, I want to like just give my own pieces of advice that I've learned from being an alcoholic. For 16 years, a mild drug abuser for 16 years. And the number one thing that I've learned, and this is harsh to say and hear, but is that nobody cares. No. But underneath that, I would also further explain that by saying it's nobody's responsibility for you to be sober other than yourself.
They don't know that they have to care. They don't know what you're going through. You could be like, haha, what's up, guys? Or like deep down, you're like, dude, I'm rock bottom, like help. But you're just like, what's up? Like, you don't want to like be woe is me at the party, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
and at the same time, like that goes for music. That goes for a lot of things. Like it's no one's job, and also nobody cares. They have their own shit to worry about. If you have good friends, they'll speak up for you and they'll know. But if you don't, like sometimes you're just in a place where you don't have like the best friends around you. You just got to take care of yourself. This world's not going to do it for you.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, that's kind of where I stopped drinking. I was like, bro, like I'm just going to sit here and drink beer till I'm 40 in North County if I'm not careful, you know? And it's like, I'm trying to at least be productive. And I've been better about being able to have my beers and chill. And you know what? I might get back to the place where I just stop forever. I don't know. But I enjoy having the beers, and I enjoy the fact that it takes down the anxiety for me. The fact that it lets me just be in the moment. And I have anxiety issues, and I've never taken meds ever in my life.
Wow.
I took PTSD medicine one time because someone told me I needed to go to a counselor. She didn't listen to me at all. She just asked me how my life was doing. Like, are you going to college? And I was like, I thought she was going to ask me about like my childhood or something. And then she just like, here, take this. And then I did it, and I was just like, man, I feel crazy. And I stopped. It was like this, I remember this big old light blue pill.
Jeez.
They said it was like for PTSD, and they must have thought I don't know. But
like
that was the only time I ever took
shit.
medication besides drugs. You know, I take a lot, but I've never taken like a, what do they call it, SSRI, or like a, what do they call like the mental health medications? I've never taken ADHD, or I've never taken like emotional or like antidepressants, and like,
yeah, me neither. I've never done any of that, dude.
as they call it, raw dogging life.
Yeah.
And, like, I know that I have ADHD. Like, you know, my for sure just been a spaz, and that's why I became the person I am. I just this is who I want to be. And like my teachers used to tell my parents, like, maybe you should like get them on medication. And I was like, just because I used to look out the window and I was a dreamer, you know. So it's like, I have my own way of, you know, dealing with my own life. And like, honestly, I got to a point in my life where my parents even realized that. And,
really?
But now it's up to me to fucking handle that.
Yeah.
You know, as much as like, because they be like, maybe you should. I'm like, I got this. And you get to a certain age, it's like, you're the one that made this bed for yourself. So now you have to deal with it. This is what you wanted. Because when you were saying those lies, when you wanted to go out and drink to your parents, you're like, no, mama. And like, they have this whole idea of you. And even if they see through it, like, you made this bed for yourself, and now you have to lay in it. So it's up to you to handle that. Or else, you know, and some people need help. And of course, you should seek that. But if you're constantly thinking that it's an issue, then yeah, maybe it's not the best thing for you, you know?
I love that, man. Yeah, I realized recently, like, it's kind of like that meme where it's like looking for the motherfucker who's like causing all the problems in my life, and it's just like a picture of a dude looking in the mirror or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, literally all the major problems in my life right now are all self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, damn.
We also carry a lot of emotion into like our next scenario. So say like I go to the gas station, and someone like says something like, well, like, man, like, you're already in a bad mood. If you were able to just reset right now and be peaceful and look at life as you do when you're on like an acid trip, be like, wow, like, we're all here. You would go into the next moment that you had, be like, wow, I love you, and we're all here. You wouldn't have this baggage that you're carrying into the next situation. And sometimes a lot of things that happen in our life is that we're just and we make decisions and we're like, fuck that, this job, or this, like, yeah, give me that, I need to drink, and this, and it's like, it's up to us to like, okay, it's not their fault in this moment that you feel that way. You have years and years of baggage. You cannot blame this person. They might have, you can pick out their flaws, and then people start blaming people like, well, you do this. It's like, dude, it's like a constant, and no one takes it back and just goes, you know what? It's not your fault. I'm here with you. Let's, you know, like, and I think I've been learning how to do that lately. I'll go into work pissed. I'll go here pissed. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you? But I'm just so used to being pissed and blaming people. And we love to just blame everyone else. Like, man, this world sucks. Like, everyone, like, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's not my fault, you know? And it's like.
No, I love that, man.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, we can go so much more on that topic, for real. But in closing, I just want you to tell people a little bit about Con Todo.
Okay, yeah.
So you started this show, this showcase, this hip-hop showcase this year. And before we get into that, dude, thank you for everything you just said.
Of course.
That was awesome, you know. I feel like a lot of people who are drinking, who are not drinking, needed to hear a lot of that, you know.
Absolutely.
A lot of great wisdom. But yeah, on a positive note, man, so you started this showcase called Con Todo, right?
Mm-hmm.
With everything. Con Todo.
Toto,
Yeah.
100%.
And so it's like one of the biggest, I would say, hip hop showcases in San Diego right now. Definitely one of the more newer ones, more exciting ones.
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
So what inspired you to start that? And what is your vision for it from here on out?
What inspired me to start this?
Such a fucking generic question.
No. It's fine.
Yeah.
What inspired me to start it was literally everything we talked about. You know,
Wow.
is just me not being able to get a show and me just knowing what it's like to be an artist, and then also all the people that I felt like maybe they hated me, maybe they did it, maybe I'm just jaded, maybe I can't really read, maybe I'm taking my emotions into the next scenario, but just knowing I want there to be a platform that is pure, that is void of all these things. And I just want to be able to throw the show that I always wanted to, bring the people in that I'd like, to have the right energy there. I mean, it's a tribal streetwear. Shout out to the tribal streetwear. That's a blessing to be able to have it there. And, you know, Isaac had already been, So Cloud Company, Isaac Ruiz, what's up? Had already been doing something similar. And, like, I had been to events like that. And we had always talked about doing something like that anyways. And it just happened at the right time. And Con Todo came because we were looking for a name. And I was like, what should we call it? And I was like, I don't know. And then we were like going through different things. And I had like, he's like, nah. And we were like, do we even call it anything? We were just trying to throw a show. We weren't trying to throw like this installment, this whole thing. And I was like, what about Con Todo? Like, what about just like with that's kind of what we're trying to do. Like with the vendors and the musicians and just, and not just being like, it has been hip hop so far because that's what I, you know, am most tied to. But eventually, we just wanted to be a platform for just dope musicians and dope artists and dope everying. Like we want to have like an indie event and have like a reggae or rock event and have like this and that, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just like, dude, like let's just create a platform. The vendors eat off it. The artists, everyone comes. They're there for all the reasons. It's with everything. It's just all the things that you would want. There's food. There's just shit to buy. You don't have to buy anything. Just come in, pay the flat rate, and come enjoy yourself and just have an event that doesn't have all the drama and the politics. Like, neither of us bring any of that old energy, that old promoter hip-hop energy in there. It doesn't exist here. And it's like, especially at Tribal being such like a Chicano, like, centric thing, it's like they're also been stoked to see a different type of talent and almost like a sub-genre of something being brought in. Because me and Isaac are both, you know, Isaac's the heir to the throne there at Tribal, you know, like it's like, and Tribal is like in terms of streetwear and just in terms of culture is huge, and people don't like, some people don't realize that. And it's and for me, someone that has been an artist in San Diego for so long and has so many connections and has my like finger to the pulse and my eyes on it, it's like we bring our resources together with him being such a good person and someone that I trust. It's like, it's perfect. I don't have to, we don't have to answer to anybody, you know, it's just me and him. And like, this is someone that like, you know, so I feel like an older brother to him, not to put him on a spot like that, but like, I was there when he first drove a car. I was there, like, you know, when he first like was smoking weed. Like, I've seen him grow up from like a young kid.
Wow.
And, but he's been involved with this type of shit for so long. It's like, you know, it's like, it's his second nature to him. And it's just like, I have all these ideas of shows I want to book and artists that I know, and he knows all these brands, and we have all these connections and all this stuff. And it's like, it was just so easy. It's like, why not? And it's like, also just like, when I was younger and I was an up-and-coming artist, I wish something like this existed. And I'm just going to do my best to book everyone eventually. And the thing is like right now, I'm just trying to throw the shows where like I haven't even booked some of my homies. But like they understand because I'm trying to grow the platform. I didn't book myself on the last one. I was out here promoting it. People were like, wait, are you performing? I'm like, am I on the flyer? Like, you know, it's like, so it's been dope to be able to have that. Honestly, I've been having a little bit of pushback within myself where I'm like, I don't want to become a promoter completely, but it's like, I have such an opportunity here to grow such a big platform. It's like, why wouldn't I? Yeah,
it's kind of like, like a 401k in the industry. Like a weird little retirement plan.
For sure. It's my Roth IRA.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. Like the first one was fucking amazing. And then the second one was just as amazing. I mean, it's a huge showcase. If you're in SoCal or you're nearby, you know, definitely follow him. We're going to have all the links down below. Check out the Con Todo show.
San Diego, California.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing show. And I can tell it's going to be huge. You know, like the energy that's there, the love that's there. Yeah. It's very new.
Everyone's there for the right reason. Yeah. I just want to make sure it stays that way. And the thing is, like, I've been to so many shows the talent's there. There's some energy there. There's some people like, but like anyone that brings negative energy to the Contola, it stands out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even like last event, there were a couple people who were like, yeah, I noticed that. And it was kind of like, it doesn't compound. It's just kind of like the people that are negative, it doesn't really work there. Like, we're just trying to have, and it's like, I'm just so happy that like Bobby and everyone at Tribal is so on board. And I know they just want to see things happen. And Bobby's always been about the culture and always been about just making things happen. He trusts us. I'm just glad that he allows us to like use that platform. And of course, in the future, we'll carry on elsewhere, and maybe it'll become a festival eventually. Maybe it'll be, who knows, you know? But it's
I can see that, the Con Todo Festival.
You know, Con Todo Fest or whatever, you know, like whatever has a ring to it, and just, you know, go, you know, and it's like, I'm just glad, you know, but I still want to be an artist. I still want to push that line, but I just hope people understand that like I've never been like, if it were up to me from when I started making hip hop, I would have never made enemies. I would have never, as much as I can be competitive, I'll still shake someone's hand. I've always been that way. And it's like, yeah, I might, you know, just be like, oh, that fool in the back of my head, I might be like, yeah, that fool's whack. We all do that, right? Yeah. But it's it's the sport, you know? And it's like, at the same time, if you want to step into the ring, you're going to be judged, you know, so it's like, but I've always been like, this is what I always wanted to do. And the fact that I have the respect, at least, or the platform and the thing, it's like, I'm going to use that and to my best of my ability and do what I always wanted to do. So it's like, it's just, it's been a pleasure, and it's just been dope to like kind of like full circle, just go from a place where like no one would book me to where now I'm booking everybody. But it's like also something that people know of, you know, and it's like, doesn't mean I'm gonna stop doing my thing. But the thing is, this thing's gonna help me. Like, it's like, you know, it's a symbiotic relationship here. I just want everyone to eat off it. And everyone that's come to one of our events, like, that hasn't really had an issue. And we do so well that we're able to pay the artists properly, and we're able to just show love. People are like, wow, this is like a really cool event. I'm like, yeah, like that's the fucking point. That's what it should have always been. But the thing is, it's like, you know, it's just hurt people, man. And whether you were raised like that, and whether you go into a relationship like that, or go into hip hop, or go into this like that, it's like, of course, you carry baggage, and you feel like, why do I have to be the person to? But now I have this thing that should be pure already. I don't have to like try hard. So why would I taint this in any way? You know? Yeah. So it's like.
No, man, like San Diego, North County, San Diego, we've gone through so many trials and tribulations with trying to start a platform for artists, right? There was like the Metaphor, City to City, you know, Kid Riz's shop, which was really fucking awesome, and I'm bummed out that had to close down, you know, like so many of us have tried to like hold something down, but I feel like we've gone through enough as a collective conscious in the world, and here specifically, that like this was the perfect time for something like this. Yeah. We've all seen it, we've all been through it, like we're all ready for something to actually fucking work this time and take us all out of the fucking hood. The proverbial hood.
The proverbial hood, bro. Yeah.
But man, hey dude, we could be here for days. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd call out of work just to kick it here with you.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime, man.
For sure, man.
Absolutely.
Dude, thanks, homie. Fucking definitely tell the people where they can find you. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah. Adam Flowers is the name. It's my government as well, so don't try to, you know, steal my shit. But yeah, man, you can find me on Instagram at Adam Flowers is real, not like Israel, even though I look Jewish. It just means that this is my real name. I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, all that as Adam Flowers, and follow The Contolo Show on Instagram, and that will grow more, but that's where you'll find us, and, you know, from there on, you know, holla at me, you know what I mean?
Holla! Hey, yo, thanks to everybody for hanging out with us. You already know what the fuck it is. I love y'all. Peace. Namaste.
Peace.
Hey!
Hell yeah, man.
Did it, man.
Good?
We did it.
Hell yeah.